Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the game news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. This is going to be a pretty messy stream. I'm starting to lose my voice. My sickness is just getting worse. But hey, the show goes on, and those Microsoft layoffs that we've been hearing about, well, they're finally happening this week. And we're just going to cover the gaming side. But even the Xbox layoffs, they're a small, excuse me, they're a small majority of what Microsoft total layoffs are, which is roughly 9,000. We were hearing it was about six, and yeah, this is roughly 9,000 layoffs, which is crazy. And Xbox, I think, after everything's said and done, is probably going to be roughly around 1,000. And layoffs are horrible, regardless of where it is. And I'm never cheering for layoffs. But I do cheer when management actually gets removed because it's ultimately management and leadership that makes these decisions, and then the little guys end up paying for it, which is ridiculous. But yeah, we're going to go over kind of like who's actually laid off, and then we're going to go through so far what the layoffs have been just across the board in the gaming industry for 2025, and just kind of end my thoughts at the end. But yeah, this is kind of insane. So this is Ghost to Gamers. And this story's been developing since yesterday. Yeah, we got some more information. But yeah, Phil Spencer said to position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect for those impacted today, the specifics of today's notifications and any organizational shifts will be shared by your team leaders in the coming days. So whatever we're already seeing now is going to there's more coming down the road, probably through the rest of the week. Today's Thursday morning when I'm recording this at about 5 in the morning. And yeah, I know too. A lot of people have said that Phil Spencer looks like an idiot, and hey, maybe sometimes he absolutely is. But he says here, he's he's following Microsoft's lead. And since I want to clarify this, since Xbox has had the possibility of being shut down in 21 and 22, which if it was today, Xbox wouldn't even exist probably at all. It'd all be sold off or just shut down. Um, the thing is that this is not Xbox gaming anymore, right? This is Microsoft gaming. So Phil Spencer is the head of Microsoft Gaming, and Sarah Bond is now the head of Xbox Gaming. And so, yeah, whatever Nadella, the head of Microsoft, wants to do, he just sends the marching orders down, and Phil Spencer has to deal with it. And he's the face for it, but this is really coming from Nadella. So we have the initiative. They're actually getting completely shut down. They're doing the Perfect Dark reboot. And this, too, is also coupled with Square Enix. They've been working with them for a while, and this is going to affect Square Enix, too, which sucks. So, yeah, that's horrible. Also, the Sea of Thieves director leaves Rare, which is crazy. And then also, looks like their whole team on Everwild is getting fired, and the game is canceled. The next game, Everwild. So, I think it's sad to see the Sea of Thieves directors leaving. Yeah, and that was actually confirmed by the company. Elder Scrolls Online, their new MMORPG, that's also getting canceled, and it was codenamed Blackbird. And a lot of this information is coming from Jason Schreier, if you're curious. But yeah, there's a lot of layoffs happening at ZeniMax Online Studios, and a lot of them were actually locked out, which is brutal. And then the president of ZeniMax Online Studios, Matt Fryer, is also leaving the studio after 18 years. So exactly how many are affected, we don't know yet. Also, the Candy Crush maker, King, they're also having layoffs. They're losing about 10% or 200 staff. That's out of Bloomberg. Call of Duty developer Raven Software, High Moon, and Sledgehammer Games, they're also all having layoffs. Now, High Moon is like a support studio, and so is Raven Software. And then Sledgehammer, they were the ones that made Modern Warfare 3, the reboot. Would have been last year. So yeah, 2 game developers. They're going to be having layoffs. And then also the upcoming Um, yeah, they're also working technically on the next Black Ops 7. But yeah, they've seen unspecified work reductions. And then additionally, Sledgehammer Games, they were Veilguard and Modern Warfare 3. They're also been hit by layoffs as well. And then High Noon helped the development with Call of Duty Warzone, which we know has already been shut down. That was a mobile game. They're just focusing on Call of Duty Mobile right now. And yeah, that was from Charlie Intel. Also, Halo Studios is now also having layoffs too. They just switched to the Unreal Engine. They were formerly known as 343. And so, yeah, we don't know how many are actually going to be laid off. But the official scoop is that Halo Studios has been working on during this year's World Championship, which runs 24 through 26. So they're still going to be doing that, I guess. But they're having some layoffs too. What I've heard so far is that it's been like 5 or 10. So Forza Motorsports, that's made by Turn 10 Studios. They're also having layoffs too. And Forza Motorsports and Forza Horizon are two different games, and I believe they're made by also two different teams. And so Turn 10 is just the motorsport side, which is more like professional racing, like NASCAR or Formula One or something like that. So it's not as exciting as Horizons is. And the last game that we had for motorsport was Motor. Let's see, Motorsport 7, I think it was, which that was quite a long time ago. And we haven't had one yet. We haven't had any announcements whatsoever. And yeah, this just sucks. But yeah, according to Schreier, this is roughly 50% of the layoffs um, at the studio. Like the studio is going to lose roughly 50% by this week. Blizzard also in support for Warcraft Rumble, which is a mobile game. And like again, they just fairly recently announced this. This was tower defense game launched in 2023. They were supposed to be putting out some more content for it, I think. But yeah, their team is also experiencing layoffs. There was a senior software engineer, AJ Davis. He noted this. The impact of layoffs at Blizzard there. Also, Xbox's user research team, they're also having layoffs. Apparently, this was a LinkedIn post, according to Verge's Tom Warren. Nearly half of the team. Yeah, that is crazy. Also, State of Decay maker, Undead Labs, they're also having layoffs too. And this is from a Kotaku report, Ethan Catch. So again, there's a lot of things that we don't actually know, and not all of them are on here, but like as you can see, it's like Microsoft for a ton of these. And High Moon isn't on there, Undead Labs isn't on there. You know, this does not include everybody, and a lot of them right now are question marks. But from what we see so far is that there's 200 at King, there's going to be 70 at Turn 10, probably 50 at the Initiative, which, yeah, they're just not going to exist anymore. And then 100 at Blizzard Entertainment, and the rest of them we don't know. So, yeah, this is brutal. And, like, you know, they've had some. Let me pull this up. They've had some pretty amazing revenue growth. Here we are. So, yeah, that's as big as I can make it. But, yeah, this is, as you can see, like, they've had a little bit of a rise during COVID, which would kind of make sense. And then after they bought Activision Blizzard King, they have just completely spiked on revenue. This is almost like a 45-degree angle so far. But yeah, they've had tons of revenue growth. And again, as you can see, it's been way higher than even their lows are like higher than the peaks of previous years, which is crazy. So yeah, they've made a ton of money. And Phil Spencer has said, even at the fiscal year 2022, which was quite a while ago, we don't know exactly how much Xbox is making as a percentage. But Spencer says that the Xbox business today currently runs at a single-digit profit margin. So it's probably a little better today, I would expect, because since then they've had quite a bit of growth on Game Pass, and they've been expanding to everywhere else. They've been able to get their Xbox app on mobile. They've created the Xbox PC app, and there's going to be continued, invasion across everywhere else that they can possibly be. And we know too that Steam and other PC storefronts are basically going to merge with Xbox, with the Xbox Ally X and the Xbox Ally, and probably too with the next gen console. But yeah, it just sucks that like this is ultimately what we're seeing, and like this is not just a Microsoft problem. There's Hasbro, there's Sony, Tencent, Take-Two Interactive, Electronic Arts, Meta, Digital Developer, Embracer Group had quite a few, and Cheyenne. That's a real bummer too, because yeah, I really like them. They make the Myst series. They've been making them for a long time. Supercell, Warner Brothers, Netflix. Yeah, as you can see, Ubisoft was toward the beginning of the year, some Bandai Namco. But this is just this year. Like already, like we're basically 6 months into the year. And when we fill in a lot of these question marks, and some of these too are just estimates, but when we fill in all of these question marks, it's probably over 3,000 so far just this year. And we got the other half to go. And when we look at some of the previous years, like 2022 was really bad, which, by the way, folks, you can always take a look at this. This is Obsidian layoff tracker, basically. But yeah, as you can see, like, there was a ton of layoffs pretty much just about every month. June was a really bad one. This is 2023. Just, man, look at that. Hundreds every month in 2023. And then 2024, which is not wanting to pull up right now. That's really frustrating. Yeah, there's nothing there. Maybe they're working on. Oh, there we go. They had 14,600. If I remember right, there was roughly 10,500 in 2023, and then 14,600 in 24. And then at this rate, in 2025, we'll probably have around 6,000 by the end of the year if the rate keeps going with what it's doing. And some of these numbers, they're not as big. 200 is pretty big, but like a lot of these are under 100. But some of them are pretty big too, like Electronic Arts with 300 right there, roughly. But a lot of these too, they're small developers, they're smaller studios, and even though they're having record revenue, they're still having all of these layoffs. And my take is, the economy that we've had in the 2020s is not real. It hasn't been real with all of the focus of all of the stimulus money from COVID, and this wasn't just citizens getting this in the United States. This was citizens all over the world from their governments, and it was also stimulus for a lot of companies. They could take special loans, they could get into new programs that were being set up for them, and yeah, basically what we're swimming in is like $100 trillion in global government debt. And that is what is infused into our economies around the world. And we don't have that stimulus anymore. So we have the inflation, we have the prices of things being higher, and people just feeling like they're making less money. Excuse me. And while maybe they're making more money, their dollar doesn't go as far. Because when I can walk into a store and, 60 eggs are costing like $20, which is crazy. Or like it costs a minimum of $200 or $300 to fix my car for a simple part, or an oil change is $100 or $120. That's insane. Or like rent over here, which isn't any place special, it's like $2,500 a month for like a 3-bedroom house. And then when we're looking at an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment is like 15 to $1,800. It's insane. And like it's getting unaffordable. And the thing with cars too, and it's just like, while these companies have been making a ton of money and their financial issues are their problem, they're being affected too, because gamers aren't spending as much. Gamers don't want to spend $70 for a video game. They don't want to spend $450 for a Switch 2. They don't want to spend more money for online services. They don't want to spend $80 for a game like with what Xbox is doing, starting with Outer Worlds 2, or like Nintendo with Mario Kart World. Physical copies at Nintendo costing $90 now. It's just nuts, raising the price of consoles like Xbox and Sony has been doing around the world. This has got to be the worst console generation I think we've ever had. And the thing that sucks is it's just partly it's the spending behavior that we had earlier in the decade, and it's just this is it running forward. And I still think we're going to continue to have layoffs through the end of 2026, maybe even into 2027 at this point. Um, and yeah, personally, I'm just ready for this console generation to be done. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this is exhausting. This is exhausting to cover this stuff, to constantly have our games come out and they don't work, they don't run, they're messy, like Monster Hunter Wilds. That game has been out for like, what, 4 months? And it is still buggy and messy and just doesn't look good or run well for a lot of people. And that's why it's getting massively downvoted on Steam right now, with like 2,000 plus reviews. And we have other games too, like Night Rain, where a lot of people like that, but a lot of the community also didn't even work on buying the game because it's not the type of genre that they want. Um, yeah, but some people, unfortunately, which I think is the worst thing, is that they bought it because it had Elden Ring in the title. Like it totally should have been called something else. It's the same thing with Madden or Call of Duty. It's the same game every year. Every year, it's the same game. Um, we also have PlayStation. They've basically canceled 13 games now. And then they still have Marathon, Fair Games, and Project Gummy Bears, which are all three going to be live service to some degree. And those are probably going to fail too. That's the sentiment right now. So we're going to have like 15, 16 games from Sony that are going to be closed and canceled or fail. Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. And Destiny 2, that's dying as well. So it's like, I don't know of anybody that's really doing well. And like, this is a struggle just to enjoy video games again. And I think a lot of people, they've been going back to older video games because it's just simpler. They know they work and they're cheaper. And they can have fun again. And it's not marred by the companies knowing the best. No, knowing best, right? It's the players. They can basically have the fun experiences they're looking for and just have a good time and not have to worry about politics or live service junk or just further deterioration in the quality like Suicide Squad or like Skull and Bones. Oh my word, man. Those are brutal games. Those are really bad. Or like Redfall was another one. Or the disappointment of Starfield for a lot of us. It's like, man, there's no hook in Starfield. Like, this is disgusting. And then we've had even like GTA 6 possibly being the first quadruple A game of $1 billion budget. That's crazy. So anyway, this just totally sucks, folks. Yeah, and unfortunately, I think we're going to continue to see more of this from Sony. Like the last one that Sony just had was Ben Studios. Like they've had that twice now. I'm surprised they're not even closed. But Ben Studios has had two sets of layoffs this year. What do you think the morale is? What do you think the morale is for any of these studios? Cliffhangers is gone. They don't even exist anymore. Uncapped, they literally just were created a few years ago. But yeah, there's too many games. There's the amount of money needed to prop all of this up. It's just not there. And we've had all of these years, and there's just not enough money. And then we have, games coming out like from Build a Rocket Boy that made Mind's Eye, and it's just a total joke of a game. So yeah, ultimately, I blame leadership again, and still, regardless of the publisher, regardless of the studio. I think we had so many people retire, which we roughly had like 65 million retirements over like 2 or 3 years in the United States during COVID, basically, and just after COVID. And now we have all of these new people coming in that don't have the experience. And so you have kind of the blind leading the blind, and you don't have experience within the studio or the publisher. And this is just kind of what it looks like. And I think, too, like with Sony, all of the leadership changes that they've had, hopefully it'll get better. But, maybe that needs to happen, too, at Xbox. Maybe there needs to be more hands-on approach. Because Microsoft has been saying, yeah, we're just kind of like letting the studios do what they're doing. We got to hear that with Redfall and with Starfield. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, let's make some good games and you'll make some money, but you also can't have $300 million budgets for games. That ain't going to fly anymore. And people don't want to buy and invest too much into live service besides the one they've already invested in because it costs so much money to feel like it's worth playing. And even free to play isn't really a thing anymore. We have Arc Raiders, Concord, Helldivers 2, and we know that Marathon. These are all live service style games that are all free to play models, and they're all going to cost basically $40. Like, this is crazy. This is a crazy time to have a gaming channel, and none of it feels good. And I'm right there with you guys. I'm frustrated. And, if some companies completely got to burn, I hope the leadership goes with it because they're the ones making all the decisions. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always find me at Gaming Garbage 22 over at YouTube. Don't forget our playlist. There's a lot there that we do on the channel. And then also you can follow me at Twitch and Don't Tread on Me. And when I'm playing a game, I'll chat with you guys. But man, this is just insane. And with that, folks, I'll see you guys on the next one.